Okay guys, time for my weekly what sold video. I'm going to share with you what sold for me this past week on Depop, Mercari, Poshmark, and eBay. As a full-time reseller, I have been doing this for I think 7 to 8 years at this point. So this is my full-time job. My kids are basically grown at this point. My daughter has moved out and my son is finishing up college as a junior in high school. So hopefully that these videos can help you to see what's selling for how much, and it'll help you to know what to pick up at the thrift store or maybe what to be leaving behind. So we're going to get into it, but before we do, I do want to let you guys know, since I'm leaving for Disney on Wednesday, I am doing a BOGO sale in my Poshmark closet. I usually do these before every Disney trip because it gives me a nice little boost of cash to spend while I'm there, and I still need money for souvenirs and food. So if you guys want to help me buy food and souvenirs when I'm at Disney, shop my Poshmark closet. So it's buy one, get one free for everything $40 or less. If the first item is over $40, it's buy one, get one 50% off. So I'm running it today, Friday, and tomorrow, Saturday. So people have already started bundling and making purchases. So if you want something, I would say get in there quick. The link to my Poshmark closet is down below in the description, if I can speak. Let's go ahead. That's my little numbers thing right there that you guys just saw. 2 sales on Depop this week. We have a pair of Allegria shoes that sold for $28. These sold extremely quickly. They were a women's size 12. They were a black leather, like tooled leather. So that's like those little floral patterns kind of imprinted into there. So really quick sale on those. I do tend to get a lot of likes for Danskos especially. So that was good for the Allegrias. Actually, I sold, oh no, those shoes sold this morning, so they don't count. And then I sold these pair of men's Ariat jeans. These only sold for $20. I did accept a lower offer just because they offered within a day and I had them listed for $30. They were also a really, really short length. Like they were like 27, even though it said 30, the inseam was like 27 inches. So they must have extremely shrunk. So I'm like, this is a kind of a small, rare size, or 28 inches, I guess. So I did go ahead and just accept a lower offer and I just moved them quickly. So that was it for Depop. On Mercari, I only had 1 sale, so really slow on Mercari. Let me know. Are you guys like making any type of regular sales on Mercari? It's just very up and down for me. This was a soft surroundings top that sold for $24. It was a white embroidered in a size extra large. So I just got it because I felt like it was very seasonally appropriate and it did sell really quickly. So that's going to go really fast. I also had 1 personal sale. I had a viewer buy a pair of standard James Purse joggers from me for $25. So thank you so much for that. That was nice. Anytime you guys see anything you like, if you would be okay with it, you can purchase off platform and we can go a little cheaper because then I don't have to pay fees. Okay, let's get into the Poshmark sales. This is March 21st through the 27th. First up, I sold these pair of Nike shoes for $58. These were a size 7. They were a pair, white and yellow Jadens. They were a low top. I have had these probably since December, so I'm glad to move them on. Took a little bit to sell, but I did pay $14 also. You can see right there. I didn't even bother. I'm not even bothering getting that stuff off lately because it doesn't matter. At least in my experience, for the most part, I haven't noticed anything. This is a Frank and Eileen top that only sold for $17, and I've had this thing forever. And this is actually something that I have went in and tried relisting multiple times, and it gets listed. It doesn't hardly get any likes. And then it was just getting marked down and marked down. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let it mark down until it sells. And this is where it ended up. So I am fine with that. Next, I sold this Ralph Lauren swimsuit for $5. That was pretty lame. This was from last summer. Probably could have relisted it. It wasn't a size 8. It was a 2-piece swimsuit, but it wasn't anything like amazing. But still, I'm sure I could have got more for that. But you know how I am. Next up is a We Wore What dress. This was a new with tags, faux leather tank dress. I think there's some sort of controversy with this brand, but I don't really know what. I'm not really into the drama of all that. It's retailed for $138, but comps were like around $50, and I accepted an offer of $30. Literally don't care. Next up is a pair of Peruvian Connection pants. These sold for $12. These were a pair of size 6, just casual skinny pants. So not the best item from the brand, but still made a little bit of profit. I sold these Patagonia pants for $29. Hiking stuff selling super well right now. These were called the Skyline Traveler pant. They were a pair of straight leg, outdoor gray pair of pants. You can see the logo on the top back there. So that was a great sale. Next up was this belt, wow, if I can talk, belt brand, W. Kleinberg. I've never heard of it. It came out on a new rack. I thought it looked interesting. I found out it was alligator leather. It was pretty worn, as you can see in this section right here. So I definitely talked about that in my description and took a picture. It's still sold for $30, which I'm really happy for. If you can find them in better condition, it looks like comps are pretty good from the brand. Next up is this pair of vintage Candies sandals. I had these listed, I think, for $38 or so. They offered me $15 and I just straight up declined. And then they came back with $25 and I'm like, yes, I will accept that. So really cool Y2K vintage 90s, like wood, block, heel, yay. Next up is a Tucker shirt that sold for $18. This brand hasn't been doing great for me, so I don't know about you guys. It was even 100% silk, and it still did not do that good. Like the fact that I've had it for a while, and it was a larger size, so I don't know. Next was a men's Eddie Bauer hoodie that sold for $25. I think this was new with tags. Yeah, it was. A brown hooded sweatshirt. It retailed for a decent amount, but it's just not like super desirable or a trendy brand. I sold these Anthropologie Pilcro jeans for $14. I've had these for a while. These were new with tags and they were plus size. Maybe I could have got better pictures. I couldn't find a model picture. I feel like that kind of didn't help. So anyway, I was glad to move them since it was an old item. Lululemon shorts sold for $25. These were in a size 6 and they were the speed up shorts. So they were an older style, but I will still pick up some of the older style ones. This is like classic black, $25. Like I'm happy with that. Usually my shorts around here are $6. Next up was a pair of a Goldie jeans. I had some recently that I've sold for really good money, but for some reason I've had this pair forever. They were in a size 31. They were the Riley crop straight leg, and they only sold for $36. These have got marked down multiple times, so somebody got a great deal on that. Next up is a pair of Ariat jeans that sold for $35. These ones were in a size 35 or 31 long. Western denim brand. Good brand to be on the lookout for jeans and for boots. So I was happy with that. I sold this bundle for $106. This bundle had a pair of Vionic shoes, a Sundance top, a Free People jeans, Lily Pulitzer top, and a pair of Ralph Lauren Black Label jeans. So I was very happy to accept that offer on those. Here's the brand Cool, another outdoor brand. This one sold for $21, plaid, button up, just kind of basic top. Not doing amazing with the brand, but I will get it if it's pretty cheap, and like this was an extra large and it's in the right season. This jacket was an amazing sale. This sold for $119. It was vintage and the brand was Eras Levy. Here's what the tag looked like. It was 100% leather. It had all of this fringe detail and like Aztec type look, and I was just like, this is something special. I got it from my Council Bluffs Goodwill off of a new rack. I think I paid $119. That's amazing. So I was really happy with that. Next up was this Brahmin wallet. This was just actually more like a credit card holder. Sold for $35. The credit card holder ones aren't going to go for nearly as much as like a Continental type wallet, but that sold really quickly. I sold this Lululemon skirt for $20. This was in a size 6, kind of an older style with this like static print. It was called the Circuit Breaker skirt. And yeah, I just accepted an offer of $20. So you can see it's older because there's no letters and numbers around the size dot. Next up are these Anthropologie Maeve pants. These sold for $51, so I'm very happy with that. These were new with tags, and they were kind of like a barrel leg or a wide leg. They retailed for $128. This is the newest Maeve tag. Sorry, it's a little crumpled there. You can't really see it, but it's like a square one. So I would just check your items if you find something with that tag. Next up is a pair of women's Brooks running shoes. These are black with like a teal and purple, size 6.5, the glycerin 20, sold for $30. So I was happy with that. Those were in really nice condition. Next was an Anthropologie Pilcro shirt. This sold for $25. So this was just a short sleeve shirt from Anthro. It had this mesh overlay with a Willie Nelson graphic on the front. So I was really excited to sell that for that much money, because usually the short sleeves don't go for that much. And then I sold this Talbot sweater. This was from a viewer, so thank you so much. She messaged me afterwards and said she saw it on, I think, a reel. and she wanted to buy it. So 2X peacock feathers, and it was 100% cashmere. So lots of good factor stacking going on there for that sale, and it was a nice quick sale. And I also sold these P448. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. P448 shoes. This brand does pretty decent for me. These sold for $42. They were white, faux fur, leather, made in Italy. I don't know if that like dirt stuff on the bottom was intentional, but I don't know. Anyway, did I not? Oh, okay, here we go. I'm like, there should still be some more sales. Okay, next up was this Boden skirt. No, I didn't open it in a new link. Okay, this was a size 12 navy blue linen midi skirt, sold for $29. This is the newer Boden tag, which now means I'm going to have to scroll down and find it, and you guys are going to have to just, oh, timeout. It went right back to it. That's shocking. Is it always going to do that? I don't know. Next up is a pair of Quince shorts. These sold for $20. I wasn't expecting much more than this because it's not that expensive to begin with, but they were 100% linen. So that's why I decided to grab them. This brand's been selling very well for me, even though it doesn't sell for a ton. I sold these Cole Haan sandals for only $9. I've had these for a while. I can't hardly find anything from this brand that's selling quick anymore. So let me know if you guys have had different experiences. These were also in a size 5. So that kind of makes it harder to sell because it's such a small size. Next up was this Viore men's shirt that sold for $34. This was just a basic long sleeve black shirt. It was called the Current Tech shirt. Viore sells really good for me still, so I'm happy about that. I sold this Ralph Lauren sport sweater for $21. This was a green cable knit V-neck sweater, just like a preppy classic style with a little purple pony logo. Next up are these Ms. Moose shoes. These sold really fast for $25. These were called the Kimmy flats. They were brown, kind of a D'Orsay, like cut open slip-on style. I also have some in black, but those ones have not sold yet. A pair of clogs from Volsjo. I don't know. I got these when I was out of town with my sister in the fall, so I have had these for a while. Size 6 brown suede, kind of a cool like made in Sweden brand, I think, but they just took forever to sell. Maybe it's not very known. I also sold these M. Jemmy flats. I've sold these before. They got returned from eBay, so I sold them on Poshmark, so they shouldn't get returned this time. Size 38.5, pointed toe, tan leather ballet flats. And then the last thing I sold on Poshmark was this Nuari sweater. This is a really cool tag. The tag, I love it, and so I was like, okay, I have to look this up. It did have a hole in it. Actually, maybe just that one. Otherwise, it could have sold for more, but I did still sell it for $36. So kind of, you can see by the look of it, you probably would have thought this is unique. I'm going to look it up. So I would be on the lookout for that brand. Okay, let's move on to eBay. And we need to get on the sales from the 27th. So we have this Lululemon men's jacket that sold for $25. This kind of had some wear, as you can see in those parts, and I couldn't find the style name. It was an older jacket, so I did just sell it for $25. Next up was this Merci poncho that sold for $52.50, so that is great. I feel like I have some dust on my computer. Okay, this was new with tags, so that did make it obviously more valuable. It was the crew neck mini pocket. It had the little logo down there. It's just acrylic and viscose, but this brand can do pretty well. Another Quince item. This was a sweater that sold for $24. It was in a size extra small, tan Mongolian cashmere sweater. The ones that I had in extra large sold almost immediately. This one did take a couple of months, so probably that's the size factor. Next up was this Ming Wang tank top that sold for $25. This was in a size 2X, navy blue. I've had this since about December, so took a little bit, but not bad. Next up was this Sundance skirt that sold for $70. This buyer messaged me. I'm pretty sure she bought another skirt from me that you're going to see in a little bit. And both times she sent an offer and said, sorry, I'm a senior on disability, so this is all I can afford. But this skirt was listed at $100, and she started off her offer at $30, and I'm just like, okay, sorry, but I am not going to sell it that cheap. So I just straight up declined. I've been declining any offer that's below 50%, and most of the time people are coming back with a better offer. She came up to 45. I got her all the way up to 70. We went back and forth. This was a really pretty embroidered skirt in a size extra large, so I knew I could get a good amount of money for it. Oh, it was so cute. So $70 for that. That's amazing. I sold this Ming Wang cardigan for $30. This sold actually really quickly. Kind of surprised. I didn't feel like it was like super cute, but I don't know. Somebody liked it. Next up was this Hot Topic skirt that sold for $23. This was a Hot Topic and Torrid like collaboration. Very like foresty with the mushrooms and the frogs and snails and stuff like that. I knew it wouldn't sell for a ton, but I'm like, somebody's going to want this. It was in a size 2X, so that was a nice quick sale. Next, for these Abercrombie & Fitch shorts, these were new with tags, sold for $11.90, and I don't know why those pictures are small. High-rise mom shorts, just small size and not... Oh, here's the other one, I think. I think this was the same person, and that was just a Peruvian Connection size 16 midi skirt. I think that was the same buyer. Let me see. Penina? Okay, yes. So on that one, it was listed at 45. And so I'm like, okay, I'll accept 30 on that, but I'm not accepting 30 on a 100. So anyway, that was great, but she didn't bundle them together. So I feel kind of bad because she paid for double tracking, double shipping. I guess I could still go in and refund her the difference, but I didn't ship them together actually. So that doesn't make any sense. She bought them like a little bit away from each other. Let me see. That one she bought at 12:02, and then the other one she bought the next morning. Yeah, so I wouldn't have shipped them together anyway because I ship every day. Okay. CP Shade shirt sold for $23. This was a burgundy, like velvet type shirt. It was a silk blend. I thought about countering a little bit more, but I was like, it is not the season for velvet. This brand's more known for their linen, so I'm just going to accept that offer and take my like profit and go. Next for these Lululemon Wonder Train shorts, sold for $21. I did have somebody message me and said they were interested in Instagram, and then I told them how much, and then they just never said anything. I'm like, okay, so I guess not. This person tried to message me and say, I will do whatever with free shipping. And I'm like, no, I don't do free shipping. So she ended up offering me 21 on a 30. I accepted that. Next was this Allie Miles top, sold for $29.70. This was in a size extra large, and it was new with tags. These really colorful tops are doing well for me from Allie Miles and from John Mark. So I was happy with that. Another Quince item. This is a sweater that sold for $30 with a coupon. White cotton and extra small. I sold this Polo Ralph Lauren men's sweatshirt for $19. I was going to give this to my brother, but I noticed multiple stains by the sleeves and I didn't get them out, so I just listed it cheap and it sold extremely fast. Next was this Eileen Fisher jacket that sold for $43, even though it was wool. Definitely to me more of a fall piece, but it still sold extremely fast, so just a good classic piece from them. Ming Wang cardigan, extra large pink, sold for $27. This brand has been doing, it even had a little spot in the shoulder, but this brand has been doing so just like very good bread and butter for me, so I'm always happy to find it. Let me check that. Oh, never mind. Okay. It was a message. I just wanted to make sure. Allie Miles top, size large. This was a blue tunic length top, and that sold for $22. I sold this Miracle suit for $35. This was new with tags. It definitely kind of had like more of a vintagey retro look. I did have this for a while, so I was glad to move that. Next up was this Mac Studio dress that sold for $25 with a coupon. This is not a brand I normally get, but the style of this was very pretty, and I felt like somebody would want this, and I was right. So that was nice. Next was this J. McLaughlin cardigan, sold for only $12. I have had this for a while, just a plain navy blue cardigan, so nothing like that special. Next up was this Lafayette 148 shirt, sold for $30 with a coupon. Again, not a brand I pick up all the time, but this was in a size 2X, so I will usually get this brand in the plus sizes for like tops. I sold these Lily Pulitzer shorts for $20. These were the Buttercup shorts, and they were a pink and a size 2. Lily obviously sells better in the summer. Next was this Honey Love bodysuit that sold for $40.50. I got a couple of these recently off of a new rack at a Goodwill, and they both already sold, the tank top and the bodysuit, so I'm really happy. I really like selling that brand. This is a vintage Maine Lighthouse sweatshirt that sold for 10% off of, what was it? 25, I think. It did have a stain that I couldn't get out, but I just felt like actually a couple stains. But I don't know. I was just like, something about this. I'm like, I think I can sell this. And I did. Yeah, it was 10% off 25. Next up, Alex Evening's dress set, $29.75, size 10 petite. I do think these are usually like a mother of the bride type situation, so that's what I usually put in my title. I sold this Eileen Fisher medium blue velvet hoodie for $27. Smaller size, but the velvet did give it some type of like extra. It wasn't just like a plain polyester. My computer is dirty. but I don't think you guys can see me wiping that off, can you? Also Tencel, so a different type of material. This sold really fast. This was an Adidas Farm Rio jacket. It sold for $40. Kind of had this look of like feathers almost. It was called the Firebird jacket, so I was really happy with that. A nice quick sale. These are a pair of Patagonia shorts that sold for $21. This is about, they're not going to go for a ton more. Maybe if there's some kind of rare ones, but these are just a pair of baggies. Next up was this Lululemon Swiftly Tech shirt that sold for $21 in a size 4 dark green. I have had this one for a while. It had got marked down at least once or twice, so glad to move that. Next up were the pair of Spanx jeans, and I felt like these were getting returned, but maybe that's a different pair. I think that's a different pair. These ones sold for $45. These were in a size extra large. This is the newest Spanx tag. I've only seen it twice now, but I would be on the lookout for it because if you see that, that probably means it's a good style to pick up because it's new. So that was great. Another pair of Peruvian Connection older pants sold for $10.63. I would not pick these up again. Those also had a stain. New with tags Judy Blue shorts sold for $27. These were in a size medium, so they were a smaller size, but since they were new, I decided to grab them. Next up was this Lululemon sweatshirt that sold for $20. This was called the All Yours hoodie. I have had this for a while, and so I just sold it for 20 bucks. This is a Rag & Bone blazer that sold for $30 with a coupon. Navy blue with black, older style, nothing special, but a good like career piece. I sold these pair of men's Keen sandals for $14.88. These ones were kind of worn and dirty, like not the cleanest. And I also, oh no, they had the size. Okay. There was one pair I had that didn't have the size. So anyway, yay. Next up, J. Jill pants sold for $28.80. So these were new with tags in a size large petite, and they were a linen blend. So that's why I decided to grab them. If they weren't linen or not new, I probably would have passed on those. I sold this men's American Giant sweater for $22. This brand can do okay. I actually just found a black hoodie to try to see if Ryan wanted it. It's a really, really heavyweight, thick one, but he didn't. So I probably will just sell that. I sold this Anthropologie jacket. Ellie, let's not whine. Ellie's my dog, by the way, if you guys are new here. Anthropologie jacket, size small, sold for $40. This was new with tags. It was like a metallic biker kind of moto style jacket. So that was good. This was a Lululemon scuba sweatshirt that sold for $60. So that is great. Definitely their newer style. So their newer tags will have like the letter sizing rather than the number sizing. Because I saw somebody's video the other day and they were just like, if it's a letter sizing, it's men's. I'm like, no, it's not always. They are starting to make that now. But obviously I feel like you would look at this and you would know it's not a men's. So that is an excellent style to be on the lookout for. These are a pair of Judy Blue shorts that sold for $18. These were mine from last summer, but I don't like them anymore. So I am selling them. They're medium, blue, distressed. Yeah. Where are we at? Okay, we're still on the 22nd. Carbon 38 pants sold for $35. I got these because they were new with tags. Not a brand that does amazing anymore, but since they were new and black, I decided to grab them. I sold these men's Keen shoes for $32. These were the Ridge, brown Ridge Flex shoes, kind of like a hiking type boot. They also were in a size wide. So if it says that on the tag for shoes, you do want to put that in your title because people will search for that. This is a pair of Eileen Fisher pants that sold for $65. These were new with partial tag. So again, I only know that I had these since December because my nails were red and I never paint my nails. And I did when my husband took me to Disney in December. So I've had these since December. They were in a size extra large as well. So that's why they sold for so much. And then I sold this Eileen Fisher top in a size large, blue organic linen. This sold really fast for $27. Next up is this Coach purse that sold for $96.30. This was one that I got at Plato's Closet for $14. So that was an excellent profit. I went back the other day. They didn't have any more. I checked their Coach or their purses and their shoes, but I didn't find anything except for one pair of sandals. And then I sold these Lululemon gray reversible shorts for $20. Again, an older pair, but black. So they did have some letters and numbers around them, but still kind of older. So I just accepted the 20 bucks on that. Next up was this John Mark top that sold for $35. This was very, very colorful. So these really colorful ones are selling very good right now, like artsy, especially if they're in a plus size. And then I sold this Lululemon size 6 Swiftly Tech long sleeve. This was a navy blue color, and that sold for $32.40. That is still from the 21st. So let me see if we have any others left from the 21st. Okay, we do have this one. This was a top that sold for $25. I got this off of Style. It was called Young Edwardian. No clue, but I just felt like it was a cute style that somebody would want, and it was. That sold in about a month. Oh, we have to talk about these. I sold this Magnolia pearl shirt for $120. This person bought it full price, no coupon, no offer. I picked this up at one of my local consignment stores for $38. And I don't know if this shirt is like, is this mocking Jesus or is it like actually cool? Like for real. What I read about it, I think it was like a little kid's drawing, I think. So I don't think it's supposed to be like mocking it. Like there's nothing about it that's like looks bad. But that was my first thought. I'm like, would they just promote Jesus in like an actual good way? Maybe they do. Anyway, that was an amazing sale, $120. And then I sold the dress for $200 and I paid $62 for this, I think. New with tags. It was the St. Valentine's dress, very distressed. All of these holes are on purpose. I still haven't found it in thrift store, but I was very, very excited to find it at the consignment store, and I flipped it so quickly. So yay for that. We sold this Ariat belt for $15. This was Ryan's. It was too small. So I just sold that, and then that's it. Okay, so that's it for the sales, guys. Let me know how your sales were this past week. Let me try to enlarge myself here if I can. And let me know what you're doing this weekend. I'm watching my niece play pickleball pretty much all weekend. She's playing locally, which will be fun because usually she's gotten so good that she travels around. But for singles, it's kind of funny because she's playing in men's because she's just better than all of the women in Omaha. And so she's challenging herself by playing men's. So that's pretty cool. So that's what I'm going to be doing all weekend. And hopefully some thrifting mixed in there too. So I will see you guys on Sunday with a Thrift With Me video. Make sure you guys come back for that. And then next Friday I will be at Disney, so I have a different video scheduled to come out. So I'll still be putting out my normal amount of videos while I'm gone. So yeah, that's it. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.